Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson. Tonight we have guests Maxine and Ira Stone, who performed at the original Woodstock in 1969. They performed with a gentleman named Bert Sommer, and we're going to talk a little bit about Bert and the performance and Woodstock and all that went along with it 40 years ago tomorrow. And we're going to start off with a song.
Jennifer's heaven for Jenny, I'd stay, skin shining white as a dawn. Lying beside her, I'm melting away into the river of love. Oh, lost in a maze, counting the ways that she smiles. Time is slipping away, lost in the arms of her love, so gentle and wild. Jennifer's something you handle with care, fragile as crystals of glass. Jennifer's lips are as soft as the air, kissing her ear in the grass. All lost in a maze, counting the ways that she smiles. Time is slipping away, lost in the arms of her love, so tender and wild. Jennifer's heaven for Jenny, I'd stay, skin shining white as a dawn. Lying beside her, I'm melting away into her river of love, into her river of love, into her river of love.
That was marvelous.
You're too kind.
Thank you.
Tell us about that first day of Woodstock, how it unfolded, what your observations were then, and how you look back on that now.
Well, this was the first gig with Bert. I had answered an ad in the Village Voice. He was looking for a guitar player, and said Capitol recording artist, first album released, is looking to put a band together, looking for a guitarist. And he was a star of Hair at the time on Broadway. We went to meet him after the show one night and sat down in his apartment. I brought the guitar. I had realized from the phone conversation he used to write for a band I was friends with called The Vagrants. That was Leslie West's first band from Mountain, who also played at Woodstock. And we sat down in his apartment and took out the guitars, and both of us tuned to drop tuning in D and played Jennifer, which that was Jennifer, and that was the first song we opened with at Woodstock. And the chemistry just worked between us, so we became very good friends and played together for a couple of years.
Of course, nobody had any idea that it was going to become this event. It was completely unforeseen and unexpected. And what a first place to have your first gig.
And the crowds, I guess, began to filter in toward the end of that first day, which was a Friday.
Well, actually, what happened, we had gone up Thursday. All the acts were staying at, I don't know, it was like a Holiday Inn. And we got up there the night before, and we knew we were going on sometime that afternoon, but the whole festival was not so organized at the beginning, especially right at that first day when everyone went on at a certain time. And we got stuck. The cars taking us from the hotel to the concert site got stuck on the thruway like everyone else. So here we were, us, Tim Hardin, wrote If I Were a Carpenter, a great song.
Yep.
The Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was also doing something the first day of Woodstock, and I think possibly Sweetwater. No, I think they were already at the site, but we were stuck in the field, and we had no way of getting to the festival. All we knew is there were a lot of cars. We had no idea how many people were there. And then the helicopters came, and they took us up 2 by 2, and when Maxine and I got up above whatever that ridge was, we looked down and we saw, like you see in all the magazines and in the movies, just literally hundreds of thousands of people. You know, whether it was 300,000 that day or 500,000, who knows?
We didn't know what it was. I said to the pilot, what is that? And he said, that, my dear, is a whole lot of people. And I said, can we go home now? And he said, no, you can't go home.
Beyond that, when you got on stage, were you able to put the audience out of your mind? Because everybody that speaks on stage, whether it be in front of one person or 10 people or 500,000 people, goes through this. Were you able to actually set the audience aside and just go about playing? You were, I'm sure, very well prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I had been playing in bands since I was, I don't know, 12 or 13. Maxine was in a lot of vocal groups, but for us, for Bert's backup musicians, there was a bass player, and I played electric guitar, Hammond organ, and harmonica. So Bert really had to deal more with the sensation. We'd look out from the stage and go, "Oh my God!" But there were just so many people that it didn't matter, and the vibe was really good. It was a beautiful early evening. Whoever went on before us had very comfortable performances, and we were just backstage. We kind of like held hands and go, "Okay, here we go," and just went through the 10 songs. One of the highlights was when we finally got to Paul Simon's tune, "America." Bert sang that, and I was on Hammond organ, and we got the first standing ovation of the Woodstock Festival, and I'll never forget what that roar sounded like. Hopefully someday they'll release that version. The Woodstock recordings of our performance were vaulted by Warner Brothers for 40 years. They were just released in a 6 CD set, and 3 of the tunes are on there. Our closing tune is on there. You can get an idea what it sounds like with 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people clapping at one time. It was an awesome feeling, but no nerves, no jitters.
And Bert basically, he's barefoot, he's sitting on the stage, cross-legged.
With a big guitar like this,
Completely unadorned, and very, let's play some music.
Just like he's home playing in front of his cat.
Yeah, he opened up, he tuned his guitar a little better on stage after he was introduced.
As Bert Summers.
Right. Yeah, it was introduced before and after as Bert Summers. The MC didn't get that right. But then he said, this first song is called Jennifer. And we just went right into it. Actually, there was a DVD released in Europe and South America called The Lost Performances, and some of us whose record companies hadn't made the correct deals with the people that put out the original movie were in that. So Jennifer it's all over YouTube, and which is really a gas seeing what it looked like 40 years ago on stage at Woodstock. But now finally the real recordings are out. They're available on Rhino Records.
Now we're going to place your website, your personal website, and Bert Sommer's website on the screen during the show.
Cool.
So people can go to there and join in on the experience and look back and join the recollections. But I want to point out that you also have with you, and this is easy to see on camera, this is the original Life magazine about Woodstock from that point. Now Ira and Maxine also have some other things up on their website, some other reference points to Woodstock and the other things. And I discovered actually on Wikipedia that there was the order of appearance of the different bands. But having said that, would you play another song?
Sure. It's another Burt Summer tune called "And When It's Over," and this was originally recorded and written for a group called the Vagrants, which were quite a big band in the New York area.
That was Leslie West's.
That was Leslie West's first band, and Burt had written the tune. "And When It's Over." Let me just check tuning. Okay.
And when it's over, and as you light your cigarette, feeling much older, knowing that there was no regret, touching your shoulder, feeling the joy in what we've done,
As we sail into the sun, with our hearts and souls as one, feeling free
as the sea. And when it's over, gazing into your gentle eyes, pulling you closer, knowing that there was no surprise, both of us bolder, now that there's nothing left to hide,
as we reach to touch the sky on the love we place so high, feeling free
as the sea. Oh,
as we sail into the sun, with our hearts and souls as one, feeling free
as the sea.
Again, excellent.
So Burt wrote that when he was 20 years old.
Thank you, Bob, one of our
One
cameramen.
hand clapping. He was 20 years old.
Yep.
So that was all about his first experience in falling in love and realizing that love.
Now, you noted before we came on the air that Burt was in the cast of Hair, which is a year before Woodstock, perhaps? 2 years, perhaps?
maybe
Roughly.
67 and a half, yeah.
Because a lot of the performers I know at Woodstock and a lot of performers during that time did covers of the songs that are from the original Hair album, from the original production. What was the range of what Burt wrote about? I mean, since that's who we're focusing on because of his influence, what were the range of the things he wrote about?
Huge range, Dave. On his first album, the reason they placed us on Folk Rock Day was because it was considered folk rock at the time. Jennifer, that first tune, was about his relationship with Jennifer Warnes. Is that her name? She was also in, I believe, in Hair in the original cast.
Yeah, she was.
He had a song called "A Note That Read," which is on the first album. "The Road to Travel" is the name of the album by Burt Summer and Capitol. And "A Note That Read" is kind of about a teenage suicide, but it's an amazing tune.
He also had "We're All Playing in the Same Band," which was
that was kind of a hit.
Which was as big a hit as Burt ever had, and it was essentially, there's enough guitars for everybody. Let's play nice. Let's be peaceful. Let's live in harmony. So his message of what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? It's not funny. We can achieve this.
He had a tune, "The People Will Come Together," on his third album that I played a guitar solo line, which was kind of an anti-war type tune back then, and we've listened to it and played it since, and the words just are amazing. They hold true. A father talking to his son about war and how war is not good. And you know, there was a lot of social content. Anyone writing back then, that was the era Dylan wrote some of his most amazing tunes in as well.
Sounds like almost more of a pro-peace song than an anti-war song. The positive side of the message.
It was positive. Always accentuate the positive than the negative, or at least with his music. Yeah.
He was a very sensitive soul, and I guess that's part of being an artist. And the fact that, you know, as the Wall Street Journal article called him the lost man of Woodstock, was kind enough to call him the lost bard of Woodstock. He kind of felt that things weren't playing out fair for him. And he really took it to heart. And a lot of his music is about the underdog, and what it feels like to be the underdog, what it feels like to have your heart broken.
Sounds like, well, I guess we all know that the music business is a tough business, and it's some of the people that have been the best musicians perhaps haven't even achieved that notoriety because they have a higher sense of humanity than they do a business.
Or they just didn't have the right breaks. Now, Bert had the talent, he had the songwriting ability and the voice, he had the look. I mean, he was
a poster boy for Hair.
He was the original poster boy.
If people will go and take a look and find those photos of Bert, they'll see that, you know, he's with the shock of hair like Hendrix, only even more so, more natural looking.
And this great dimple, and you know, you can say, well, it takes a lot of preparation, and he was in the right place at the right time. I mean, being one of the first acts to play at Woodstock, getting the first standing ovation, he certainly was in the right place at the right time, but the record company politics and whatever else comes into play, all the variables just didn't seem to be for him, and he called it the Woodstock curse.
And you've mentioned that a lot of the artists that are not in that first Woodstock movie is not because they weren't good and their performances weren't good. It was because the record company politics. You mentioned, I think, was it Warner Brothers?
Warner Brothers had the rights, and with Bert was on Capitol, he couldn't get in, and some of the other acts weren't on that first set of album that was released or the first movie. Some of it has opened up over the years, but I mean, Bert's getting a second chance here because. When this 6 CD set came out, it was reviewed very favorably. His performances were called the best of that first day of the festival.
The highlight of the first day of Woodstock.
That says quite a bit.
So Bert, wherever you are,
you're
getting another second chance.
Yeah, he well-deserved, an amazing talent. And even if you just go to the YouTube stuff from Woodstock, and you can hear it.
So it's also very accessible on YouTube. If people go to YouTube and put in Bert Summer,
well, if they put in Bert Summer, Jennifer will pop up. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent, because that's YouTube. You know, with all its flaws, is actually a very good resource to learn about things that that you haven't heard about in the past.
True.
Total access. It was funny. I told you that yesterday. I was at home and the phone rang, and it was ABC Network News. So when they asked us to, if they could come up and do an interview and film us and doing some music, and they wanted to come tonight, I said, sorry, we can't do this. We're doing the Dave Stevenson show.
I will thank you for
Comcast.
That. Local first, global second, eh?
You scooped them.
Well, thank you, ABC News, for coming up tomorrow and doing a show after my show. And I appreciate that that everybody gets a chance to share in all the recollections and all the wonderful things that you have to talk about. Will you do another song?
Yeah, we're going to do one that maybe about 10 years ago, we had a friend who lived in town and produced Eric Clapton. I think that was early 90s. And he and Max got together. I always wanted a dobro. They got together one Christmas, and I ended up with this dobro. And
it's the only holiday present I ever got for Ira that he actually liked.
Is that also called a steel guitar, or is it different?
Well, this is wood, but they do make national steel guitars. I have a national electric dobro as well. But so I got this guitar, and one of the first songs, that were written on it, Max wrote, coincidentally called Another Second Chance, which is kind of like what this whole 40th
anniversary
revisit.
is for Bert Summer.
Yeah.
Another anniversary for Bert.
Yes. Chance. I never meant to hurt you, you know it's true. But best intentions and modern inventions don't always come through. Won't you give me one more try? I never meant to make you cry. You can do your best, but still test. I don't know why. Forgiveness, it doesn't come easy, but I'm begging you, please. Forgive me, I'm down here on my knees. Please give me another second chance. You don't want to close the door on what we've been hoping for. Find it within your heart and give it to me. It never comes easy, but please forgive me, baby, I'm down here on my knees. Please give me a second chance. You won't regret it, no, that second chance. If the tables were turned, I know what I've learned. I give you a second chance, please. Won't you give me a second? Won't you give me a second? Won't you give me a second? That's all, folks. The sound of 3 hands clapping.
Now I'm gonna paraphrase Todd Rundgren right here and say, "Don't stop now. This is sing-along night for the Woodstock generation."
Does that mean you want to hear another song, Dave?
Would you? Could you? Will you?
Let's talk maybe a little tiny bit about what Woodstock has become versus what Woodstock really was.
The reality versus the myth?
Well,
okay.
it is kind of what keeps seeming to happen is that, and you need to tune that a little bit. What keeps seeming to happen is that it's taken on a life of its own, and it's become, it's got its own terminology. It's an icon for a generation, and I really do think that it was a remarkable coming together in that there was a great band of people united in a love of music, in a love of the earth, and a great desire for peace. It has totally morphed into something else. I'm not sure what it is, but the fact that an entire generation has been named after it does mean that it was a tremendous historical event. For us, I think that the fact that this wonderful guy that we were with, Bert Summer, is getting some of his just attention at this point makes me glad that still 40 years after the event, people are honoring it, and for that it's meaningful.
Still an evolving event in a sense historically. Now, I was 50 or 60 or 70 miles away at Tom Costello's all sports camp in Matamoros, Pennsylvania. Tom being a lesser known third string player for the New York Giants for about a year and a half, and ended up with a sports camp. And I had seen the poster on the side of a building in Stamford, with the dove and the hand and the guitar neck. And could I have had an opportunity, once I heard about what was going on, could have gotten there, I would have, but unfortunately I couldn't escape the camp.
And your parents wouldn't let you anyway.
Well, if there were a way to get there, I would have gotten there.
Too bad.
But it's still, as you say, it still feels like for the millions and millions and millions of us that weren't there, we were there in spirit, and we saw it in retrospect, and kind of felt like we were there in the mud and the rain and everything else, and feeling pretty good about some important things to us.
As polarized as things were in the 60s, and there was a huge chasm and a big breakdown in communication, there was a huge coming together at Woodstock. And one of the funniest things was the hotel where we were staying. You would go down for breakfast, and there would be the most disparate people standing next to each other. Here's Roger Daltrey, here's Richie Havens, here's people you never expected to be together.
Birds not of a feather, so to speak, but flocking
musical
together.
feathers, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, is that 30 seconds for the entire show, or is that 30 seconds for the PSA? Okay, good. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Oh, then we need to do a song.
Okay, we're gonna leave with the song, and the camera will fade out in the middle of the song, but they're going to keep on playing. And I invite you to go to their website, go to Bert's website, and let's learn a little bit more.
Got it. Okay.
It's after midnight in the heart of the city. So many people, they cry in despair, working a lifetime just to make $1. Too many troubles and nobody cares. And it gets so lonely in the heart of the city, in an old hotel room so in need of repair. Gonna find me a flat top down on the corner. Who can be happy when you're going nowhere?